Hey boyos, this is a response video to the Ask Me Anything thread on the misc. So as of now, I will not be taking new submissions. So let's get right into it. Pyram asked, would you ever consider making some sort of review videos on YouTube like Review Bra? It could be sugar-free drinks since you're cutting, and when you bulk, and again, it could be fast food. Um, Most likely not. That sounds like work, and unless I'm willing to put lots of work into my channel, I'm probably not going to take my channel too seriously. I mostly do this for myself. Just, it's like a little hobby where it's really not for, validation from others at all. It's literally just so I'm comfortable speaking um, on video or on a recording, right? Because that could have some influence in the future on maybe job prospects if I do decide to get back in the workforce, right? So I likely would not do review videos like Review Bra. Just the occasional one for like a cigarette brand or something that I often indulge in. Like sugar-free drinks, maybe. Fast food, I don't know enough about different fast foods to confidently give reviews, right? I'm not well versed in different types of fast food. It's pretty much, the usual. Like, I've had Burger King, KFC, McDonald's, Wendy's, A&W, Subway, and it's not like I'm all the time eating fast food, so my taste buds are not accustomed to fast food very well. So if I eat a McDonald's burger, I won't be like, oh my god, compared to a Burger King's um, value menu burger, this is like the bomb and tastes like this. Like, I wouldn't be able to do stuff like that because I don't even remember what a Burger King burger tastes like because I haven't had one in over a year, right? But hopefully that satisfies your question. And Lightweight Baby says, what's your opinion on 9/11? I remember 9/11 from my high school days, and it was kind of big news. Nobody really talked about it at school, though. But then again, I hardly spoke to anyone at school. I didn't give much shit about it. I didn't really care about 9/11 at all. It was nothing. Like, the downside is we didn't get to miss school because of it, so that sucks. And that's the extent of how I feel about 9/11. I didn't get to miss school that day, which really blew ass. But I'm Canadian, not American. Americans, maybe they got the day off from school. I don't know. But we will go on to Bonobo, and he asks, when did you realize you were crazy and different from other kids? Um, Pretty early in life. Once I went out into school in like grade primary, I realized I was a little different than everybody else. But I'm sure a lot of young people often feel like they're a little different than everybody else. But I was diagnosed with some disorders like ADHD at a young age, and it did influence how I developed over time somewhat. The ADHD I've really gotten a handle on. I don't know if it's something you grow out of typically. I don't know a lot about ADHD. When I was younger, my health problems weren't looked into very well. So, yeah. But realized I was crazy. When I was in my late 20s, at 29 years old, that is when the schizophrenia manifested itself, and I had a full on psychotic episode. And it was not pleasant at all. But I have mostly gotten under control the schizophrenia illness, and it's not a huge factor. Every couple of years I'll have an episode, but I'm on meds, so it's not that bad. But like I said, I'll have an episode, and if it's bad enough, I'll start looking for ways to commit suicide and contemplating it all the time, just to escape the delusional reality. But hopefully that answers your question. And LA Hipster One, very excited for me to do one of these videos. And he asks, first question, we need to talk about your recent decision to not show your face on video. Can you expand on this and what we are to expect from this? Remember that by not showing your face, you are also raising expectations that something huge is about to go down. Well, I did want to leave it for a surprise. I'm sure a lot of you already know what that will be, but I plan on losing a good amount of weight in a matter of a few months, and then doing a face reveal, and then going off camera again and losing some more weight. Now, that sounds great in theory, right? Perfect world, that's what would happen. You know, who knows? I could crash and burn and not lose any weight. But I figured setting some kind of expectation like that, it might motivate me more to lose weight. So I'm just going to keep my face off camera. I don't really want to see my face when I'm doing a video because it doesn't look very good. But yeah, that's about it. It's just I want to lose a good amount of weight after a few months, then do a face reveal, and then do it again. And we'll move on to your next question. Is it possible you might actually get shredded during this period, or is that too much at this moment? That is way too much at this moment. Like I said, I'm like 240, 250, somewhere around there. Getting shredded in a few months, not going to happen. If you gave me 2 years, probably it could happen if I stayed on course. But no, I will not be getting shredded by the time I do a face reveal. And next we got, the job at Ralph's did not work out this time. Have you given any consideration to hitting up Abigail again, checking in what's happening on the inside, and if there is any other opportunity for you since you've technically been associated with Global Life now for several months? I haven't for several months. Your time estimate is a little off. It's, I don't even think it's been a month yet, but it's been a little while. Job at Ralph's. I'm pretty sure Ralph's closed down here. We had a Ralph's not too far from where I'm at, like 100 kilometers or so, and apparently it closed down, but I never went there and would not consider going somewhere like that. But yeah, I may return to the training. The other couple times I returned, I did not last long before I gave up in frustration. The last time I lasted about 30 seconds. I was 2 questions into a quiz, answered both questions wrong, and I was like, yeah, fuck this, I can't do this. So, we will move on. I love Explosive Midget, and he's one of your top 5 miscers of all time. But recently he has crashed out multiple days in a row, doing 24-hour posting, threatening multiple members and challenging them to come fight him physically. What's your take on this? Well, he's an OG misker. He's very well known on the misc. Even if he is doing something to damage his reputation, it's likely going to take a lot to permanently damage his reputation. So at this point, because he's so well known, has been posting for so long, he can probably get away with pretty much anything, because he's one of the few miskers that are keeping the forum alive. And not in a bad way like Mario. Obviously, he's very well liked. I just have minor quabbles with him, but there's no point in getting into it because we'll probably never meet each other. I'm not in agreement of him challenging people to come fight with him physically and all that. But hey, he has to do him, and you know, as long as he's not unhinged and violent and, you know, delusional, he's no threat to me, right? And I don't mean that as in I'm not scared of him, because I'm not scared of him exactly. But what I know, if I know someone who is literally unhinged and mentally unstable, and I know they're violent and aggressive, I feel like my safety is being threatened, even when they have no contact with me. But I don't think our boy is that unhinged or unpredictable or violent. I think he's just playing around, really. So we will go on to, you currently pull a lot of engagement from the misc with multiple threads spanning many pages. Has this always been the case, or are you usually the center of attention? Pretty much 95% of my views comes from the misc. There's a couple other forums I post on as well. I think I occasionally get a view from there, but not like the misc, right? The 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 views I get per video, that's almost entirely from the misc. Almost entirely, because I have not put much effort into my YouTube channel for it to come up in relevant searches and such. Um, are you usually the center of attention? That's that's a difficult question to answer. I've had my moments in life where I was the leader for some time, but yet in other situations I'm not a leader at all. It really depends. Um, I think socializing is like a muscle that you have to train, and if you don't train it, it will atrophy and become weaker. And I've spent much of my life alone, not socializing. So, as far as being the center of attention, like I said, I've had my moments. Um, Back in high school when I played Magic, um, I was basically leader of the group of my friends. There was 10 others plus me, and apparently they all looked to me as the leader. Now, I was, a year older than most of them because I had failed a grade, but apparently I possessed virtues and attributes that made me a good leader to make everybody else look up to me, right? But aside from that, I've never had a major leadership role, so I hope that answers your question. What's your current favorite outfit? Well, I'm going to tell you, whatever is quote unquote clean. And by clean, it means it does not have visible filth on it. So, I'm not picky about what I wear because I have no one to impress. I don't go anywhere. I don't work. I don't even attend social gatherings or um, community activities. So I have no one to impress. So we move on to Not Bad, Not Brad is struggling at the moment, going sober from coke and alcohol and cheap women. He spent 100K on drugs and alcohol the last decade and feels like absolute shit. As a recovering addict, what advice do you have for him? Well, I'm severely addicted to cigarettes, and I do have a food addiction, although I did really well yesterday, only having one meal. And I did just have my one meal for the day as well, along with an apple earlier. Later tonight, I may have a carrot, maybe I had the last apple already, so that's out of the question, but I may have a carrot or two later. Um, it's really about setting small goals for yourself, but you also have to look at the bigger picture and the ultimate goal. People often would tell me, make small goals for yourself, as if, like, I'm setting too big of goals, but you have to have a final goal in mind, right? And then you have to be willing to take small steps in reaching that goal, so small goals at a time. And that could literally just be, you know, I've been drinking and doing coke every day for the past 6 years, let's say. And it could just be, okay, today let's not do coke or drink alcohol. And if we can make it through today, then tomorrow I'll let myself do whatever I want. And it's just to prove to yourself that you can go a full day without the substance abuse, right? As far as actually weaning off the addiction, that's going to do absolutely shit. Absolute nothing. But it's to prove, it could be to prove to yourself you are able to go a full day. Now, of course, you can obviously cut down on the substances over time. And if you know there's certain times of day you're always doing those substances, try to cut down. All right. If you have any kind of cessation program to wean yourself off, I would go for that as well, similar to like a nicotine patch for smoking. So, but as far as an addict, I haven't done anything really hard. It's just mostly the cigarettes, and there's a lot of support available for someone trying to quit smoking. So then we have fuck, marry, kill, Mario, Bonobo, and Michelle. Well, I'm not gay, so, and you have a fuck and a marry, so, and only one sloot, so I don't know what I'm supposed to choose here. Um, I would definitely put the kill for Mario, and I'm not going to say that I'm going to kill him because I don't want to get banned. I'm definitely not going to kill anybody. But for the kill title, I would put Mario. Um, I'd rather marry a guy than fuck a guy. So, and I'm guessing Bonobo is just a really overweight short manlet. So I would probably marry Bonobo and fuck Michelle. How's that? So then we'll move on to, you say it's nothing, but there's clearly some tension between you and Michelle. I wonder how would you react if she sent you an invite to meet up in real life? Not a date, but just to hang and squash your beef. You show up in your medium-sized jacket looking raw and masculine, and Michelle is a pretty in a dainty dress and white teeth. You politely sit down as she looks at you point blank and says, John, I do not appreciate your comments about my weight. How would you react and what would you say back? Would you be able to move past this and find common grounds? Um, if it was just a random encounter, not like what you stated, I would just probably just put her in her place and not even give her a reply. I wouldn't say anything, not even give her any attention, right? You know, the devil can't do anything to you. But you know, if we're at some formal date and dressed up nice and I'm wearing a medium-sized jacket, um, I'd probably bust on her a little bit and tell her, you know, I've lost weight, I'm down to a size medium, you know, it's up to you if you want to lose weight. You know, I think a woman being 6 feet tall and 220 pounds, thinking that they're in good shape is a bit delusional. Like, I don't care if somebody's overweight, but be real about it, right? Be real. Don't lie to yourself and think that you're in great shape when you're not, right? But obviously, I don't want to be rude, so I just probably just pick on her and say, well, you know, I'm down to a size medium. Look at you. Something like that. And lastly, what's the cutest thing a girl has ever done for you? Oh boy, I don't know. I really don't know. Uh, I really can't answer that. I'm not sure. It was usually me doing cute things for the girls and not the other way around. So nothing comes to mind, so I can't really answer that. And I am going to refresh the page just to see if there's any new questions, and there are not. So that brings us to a 18-minute video. So I'll cut it off there, boyos, and I'll see you online.